The rain fell softly that morning, the kind of drizzle that blurred the world into a watercolor painting, gray, cold, and aching with memories. Inside a small corner café, Daniel sat at a chipped wooden table, staring at the steam rising from his cheap cup of black coffee. His hands were rough, scarred from years of construction work. His eyes, once bright with dreams, now carried the quiet exhaustion of a man who had lived too much pain for his age. Beside him, a small backpack rested on the floor, stuffed with crayons and an old teddy bear. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was at school, and for once he had a moment to breathe. But even his moments of rest were haunted by bills, unpaid rent, and the echo of the wife who had left him 2 years ago, chasing a new life and leaving him to raise their daughter alone. CTA 1. Before we go deeper into this emotional story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Exposed Tales, where every story reveals the beauty, heartbreak, and truth hidden behind ordinary lives. Daniel had become invisible to the world, just another tired face behind a counter, another man trying to make ends meet. His life had narrowed down to routines: waking before dawn, packing Lily's lunch, taking buses that smelled of damp clothes, and working long hours mixing cement or fixing broken walls. Yet, in all that struggle, there was something pure in the way Lily's little hand would reach for his, the way her laughter made his hardships fade for a while. He lived for that sound. It reminded him why he still kept going, even when life gave him no reason to. That morning, he had come to the cafe not because he could afford it, but because it was warm, and for a few coins, he could sit there without being judged. The place smelled of cinnamon and freshly baked bread, the hum of soft jazz mingling with conversations around him. He didn't notice her at first, not until the sound of heels clicking against the floor made him glance up, and time froze. Across the room, framed by the golden morning light, stood Emma Clark. The name alone made his chest tighten. His first love. The girl who once swore that nothing could ever separate them. The same girl who had walked away 15 years ago, chasing a scholarship in another city while he stayed behind to help his sick father. She looked different now, poised, elegant, with confidence radiating from her every gesture. Her black tailored suit, the diamond watch on her wrist, the sleek bun of her hair, all of it spoke of success, wealth, power. For a moment, Daniel thought he was dreaming. The world around him faded, replaced by the echo of her laughter from years ago, the smell of wildflowers in her hair, the memory of stolen kisses under summer rain. But then she turned, and their eyes met. Emma froze. The smile she had worn for her assistant faltered as her gaze locked on his. Her heart skipped. In an instant, the world of business meetings and boardrooms disappeared, replaced by the boy who had once promised to build her a house with his own hands. She hadn't seen him in over a decade. The last she heard, he'd gotten married, settled down somewhere quiet. She never knew he had divorced, never knew the battles he'd fought alone. Daniel. Her voice trembled slightly, unsure, almost breaking through the calm she always carried. He stood awkwardly brushing his worn jacket. Emma, wow, it's been a long time. Her assistant excused himself politely, sensing the tension. Emma gestured toward his table. May I? And so, they sat, two worlds colliding over the same cup of coffee. At first, their conversation was polite, surface level. She asked about his life, his work. He kept it brief, not wanting to sound pitiful. She spoke of her company, how she had started from scratch after years in corporate trenches, how she now ran a chain of successful real estate firms across the country. Her words were confident, practiced, but beneath them lingered something softer. Regret, maybe, or nostalgia. Then she noticed his hands, the roughness, the small cuts. She noticed how his jacket had been sewn more than once, how his shoes were worn thin, and suddenly, her polished facade began to crumble. You've been working hard, she said softly. He smiled faintly, trying to keep things together. My daughter, Lily, she's my whole world. Her expression softened instantly. You have a daughter? Yeah, 6 years old, smart as anything, loves drawing and pancakes. Keeps me alive, honestly. His voice cracked on that last word, and he quickly looked away. Emma's heart ached. The boy she once loved was still there, only now wrapped in quiet pain and weary smiles. She wanted to reach out to say something but didn't know how. Instead, she asked, and her mother? Daniel hesitated. She left, said she couldn't live this life anymore. Guess love wasn't enough? Silence fell between them, heavy and fragile. Outside, the rain had stopped, and sunlight began to filter through the clouds. Emma swallowed hard. You know, I always thought about you. Wondered what you were doing. I even went back to our town once, but you were gone." He gave a small laugh, though it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, life doesn't always wait for you to catch up." For the first time in years, Emma felt something stir inside her. A mix of guilt and longing. She realized how much she had missed him, how much she owed him for believing in her when no one else did. Over the next few weeks, they started meeting again. Sometimes she'd invite him for coffee, sometimes she'd show up at his construction site with lunch for him and Lily. Daniel tried to keep his distance, not wanting to be a charity case, but Emma's kindness was genuine. She adored Lily, drawing with her, taking her to the park. Lily, in her innocence, once whispered, "Daddy, I like Miss Emma. She looks at you the way I look at ice cream." Daniel laughed, but deep down, something inside him began to heal. What he didn't know was that Emma was quietly trying to help him. She had asked her HR department to reach out anonymously and offer him a supervisor's job in her company's renovation project. It paid better, came with benefits, and was perfect for someone with his experience. She didn't want him to feel pitied. She just wanted to give him a chance. When Daniel found out the company belonged to her, he felt betrayed. One evening, as they sat watching Lily draw by the cafe window, he turned to Emma. "Why didn't you just tell me? You think I can't stand on my own 2 feet?" Her eyes filled with tears. "No, Daniel. I just didn't want you to think I was doing it out of pity. You've always been the strongest person I know. I just wanted to make things a little easier for you." He stood up, his voice low but firm. "I've been broken, Emma. But I don't need saving, not like that." And he walked out. Days passed without a word between them. The world seemed heavier for both. Daniel went back to his old job, trying to forget. But every morning when Lily asked, "Are we seeing Miss Emma today?" his heart ached. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. A handwritten note with a single line. "You once promised to build me a house. Maybe now let me help you build a home." Attached was a key and an address. Daniel hesitated for hours before finally taking Lily's hand and walking to the location. It was a small but beautiful house on the edge of town, near a field where the wind carried the scent of wildflowers. Emma was there, standing on the porch, her eyes shimmering with hope. "I didn't buy this for you," she said before he could speak. "I bought it for us. For Lily. For what we lost, and what we can still build." Daniel looked at her, tears blurring his vision. "You really think we can start over?" She stepped closer, placing a hand over his heart. "We never really ended, Daniel. Life just paused us for a while." He finally pulled her close, and for the first time in years he felt whole again. Lily ran toward them, laughing, wrapping her little arms around both. The rain began to fall again, gentle and cleansing, as if the universe itself was washing away the pain of all those lost years. CTA Twinsy. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Exposed Tales, where every hidden truth deserves to be told. And so, the struggling single dad and the millionaire CEO, 2 souls separated by time, pride, and circumstance, found their way back to what truly mattered. Not wealth, not status, but love that endures through the storms of life. Because sometimes the greatest success isn't in what you earn, but in what you find again when you thought it was lost forever.